again, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to talk about some Amber books by Roger Zelazny, and this is specifically the first 5 books in the Amber series, which are known as the Corwin Cycle, because they have the character of Corwin as the main character, and then the latter 5 has another main character. I did talk about the first book in the series previously on my channel, sort of did a review of it, but I kind of wanted to revisit it now that I have finished the Corwin Cycle and sort of talk about those 5 books as a whole. Now, this is not the first time I've been reading this book. I actually read them the first time as a teenager. And I loved them at that point, and I did love them rereading them today also. They had a huge impact on me as a teenager, and I can see today that a lot of my own storytelling that I do, either just for myself or that like in role-playing games or whatever, has been influenced by the Amber books. They were a really great reading experience the first time I read them, and I think they've been a great reading experience the second time. That said, now that I'm older and more of an experienced reader, and also more of a critical reader now, I can kind of see that, well, you know, there's certain aspects to the series that hasn't aged that well. Like, for example, Roger Zelazny isn't very good at writing women, or rather, when he writes them, he doesn't do it half bad, but he doesn't write them a lot. So the premise for the Amber books, and I have here the second, third, fourth, and fifth book in their Swedish translations, which are the ones that I've read. I do own the first one, but I've lent that out to a friend, so I don't have it right now. And the premise for the Corwin, or for the Amber series, is it's a multiverse, and the one true world is Amber, or Castle Amber. And in this castle, there is a king, King Oberon, and the king has many sons and daughters, which are then the prince and princesses of Amber. And there's like an almost equal divide, you know, half princes and half princesses. But it's really only the princess that has any big roles in the books, which is a shame, I think. I definitely think that Roger Zelazny should have made the princesses of Amber, you know, just given them bigger roles, made them more active, made them more interesting, I think, because there's a lot of potential there. So if I'm going to criticize the Corwin Cycle and the Amber series overall for something, it's probably that. But I still think it's a great reading experience, despite that and a few other flaws that it has. So the first book is 9 Princes in Amber. Here we are introduced to Corwin. He wakes up on a hospital on Earth, and he has no memory of who he is. So a lot of the first book is he rediscovering who he is, you know, regaining his memory and sort of learning that, oh, I'm a Prince of Amber, and sort of the consequences of knowing that. So I think that's a rather clever way of sort of we getting to know this world, or this multiverse, and this family that Corwin has, sort of at the same pace as he is. And we establishes, you know, his relationship to his brothers and sisters, especially to his brother Eric, who is his nemesis. I wouldn't really say that Eric is the antagonist of the book, because neither Corwin nor Eric are like protagonist or antagonist. It's more like neither of them are good or bad. They are both flawed characters, and they both want the same thing, which is inheriting the throne of Amber from their father. Their father, King Oberon, has been missing for quite a while, which means that now there's a feud among the children of who's gonna get the throne, and this is the beginning of that feud, especially between Corwin and Eric. But I think the multiverse that Zelazny introduces in this book is fantastic. I love it so much. It tickles the imagination so much, the way he introduces and the way he handles this universe and how these Amberites travel between the different worlds, which they refer to as shadows, because all the worlds are shadows of Amber, essentially. It's just really cool, and I really dig it. So that was the first book, which is Nine Princes of Amber, and the second one is Guns of Avalon. And here we see the end to the feud between Corwin and Eric, and I'm not going to spoil how it ends, because that's kind of a major part of this book. But I will say that I like how it ended, because it could have very well changed Corwin for the worse, like made him not a bad character, but definitely affected him in a negative way. But the way it actually ends, I think it doesn't. It actually changes Corwin for the better. It makes him mature and come to certain self-realizations and things like that, and I really like that. And this book also sets up the conflicts for the later books, because now we are sort of learning that Amber is not only threatened by what's happening within Amber, which is the feud between the siblings, but there are also forces outside of Amber that might want to destroy it or take over it, or whatever it is it wants. So now Corwin sort of has to take responsibility for that and do something about it, and I did like this one. I think the first book is probably my favorite out of the two, mostly because I really like the introduction of the multiverse in the first book, but this one is also quite exciting, I think. The next book in the series is Sign of the Unicorn, and out of the first 5 books, I think I like this one the least, which is not to say that I didn't like it. I did like it, but not quite as much as the other 4 books, because this one is the most talky. Like, it's mostly dialogue driven, which is fine, and I totally understand why Zelazny did that, because a lot of this is exploring on a deeper level Corwin's relationship to his siblings, and he's tying together loose threads from the first and second book, secrets that sort of come to light, and consequences of those revelations that Corwin has with his siblings. So it is, I think, an important book because it's in some cases changes Corwin's relationship to his siblings, and in other cases sort of strengthens them. He's sort of learning, these are the ones I can trust and these are not the ones I can trust, essentially. So it is an important book in that way. But it was because it is more court intrigue, I suppose, and less action. There's not really any big fights or anything like in here. I kind of felt like, yeah, I wasn't quite as interested in this one as I was in the previous 2, and as I will be in the next 2 books. But I still think it was a good book, and a good, I suppose, a little bit of a break in the series, because the end of the second book is a big climax, and now there's going to be a while before the next climax happens. So this one is sort of a good place to sort of, tie together the loose threads from the first conflict and prepare for the second conflict in the series. And there's also a rather great hook at the end here for the rest of the series, so I dig it. So the 4th book in the series is The Hand of Oberon, and I love this book because now the stakes are higher, the scale is more epic, and we are introduced to the Course of Chaos, which I'm gonna try and describe the multiverse. It's like you have Amber in the middle, and then you have the shadows of Amber, which are all the worlds, including Earth, that sort of surrounds it. And the shadows and Amber are like order, and then outside of that there's the Courts of Chaos, which are chaos. it's might be a little bit difficult to understand, but you know, if you read it, it makes sense. And the Courts of Chaos is like a concept that I think is really, really cool, and we are introduced to that in here. And now Corwin has to mature even more, I feel, grow as a character even more, because now he has to realize that, oh, I actually have to save Amber from the outside threats, and that is a big challenge, let's just say that. And we also learn things about the history of Amber, and we kind of learn that Amber isn't maybe exactly what Corwin and his siblings think it is. There might be more to it than they expect. And there's also a great twist at the end here where someone turns out to be alive that they didn't think maybe was alive, or that they maybe weren't expecting would turn up. Yeah, so it was a great read, I think. One of my favorites in the series, though I did like the 5th book more, which is Courts of Chaos, and that is, as the name suggests, because now the Courts of Chaos, the place Courts of Chaos, is at the center, and I love that place. It's so cool. It's just so weird, you know, the way Zelazny describes it. It's very psychedelic, and I love that kind of aesthetic, and it's just really, really cool. It's psychedelic, it's strange, it's foreign, it's chaotic in a good way, and I'm so fascinated by just what it is. It's very unlike your traditional fantasy worlds, because Course of Chaos is just, it's just weirdness, you know, nothing makes sense there, and I love experience that when reading this book. I think Courts of Chaos is a great ending to the Corwin Cycle, because there's a huge battle at the end here, and you know, lots at stake, and we're gonna have to say goodbye to some characters who maybe leaves or doesn't make it for other reasons, but we're also seeing the end of Corwin's character arcs here, as he has grown, as he has matured, as he has come to a situation where he realizes his own weaknesses, and maybe he's not the most suitable to be King of Amber. And I think that's a really great self-realization that we have been working towards for Corwin. So even though Corwin is sometimes an unlikable character and definitely an unreliable narrator, because he thinks quite highly of himself, especially in like the first few books, but now in the end he has, I think, really grown, and I enjoyed seeing that journey for him. So I think Courts of Chaos was a great ending to his cycle, and then in the next cycle, the next 5 books, which is the Merlin cycle, we will follow his son Merlin, which I have not gotten to yet. Well, I have read them as a teenager, but I'm gonna pick them up soon and read, so I will talk about them on my channel at a later date. I do recommend checking out the series. It is not perfect. Like I mentioned before, I think the princesses and the other female characters in the books could have had bigger roles, especially Deirdre, who is one of the princesses and Corwin's like favorite sister. She has a very few scenes in these first 5 books, but at the end of the Courts of Chaos there's actually quite a big scene with her, and I kind of feel like that what happens to her has a great impact on Corwin, and I think it would have had a greater impact on us as readers if we knew her better. So I would have liked to see more of her in the 5 books, but that's really just nitpicking. I think the series, the things that Roger Zelazny does good in the series vastly outweighs what he did not quite as good, because it's such a fantastic world building, and I highly recommend you check this series out, because it's very non-traditional in the kind of fantasy that it is, and I would have to say that it's probably one of my favorite series of all time. Not my number 1 favorite series, but I would say probably like top 5 favorite series, somewhere in that span. So yeah, I really think you should check it out. And if you have already checked it out, maybe you want to share your opinion in the comment section down below. Maybe you disagree with me and think it's a crap series. That may very well be the case. I mean, we all think different about things. But I would love to hear from you. Tell me you want to read the series, tell me you like it, tell me you don't like it, you know, why, you know, write it down below in the comment section, and like and subscribe as usual, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.